So recently I've seen a lot of people complaining about everybody quitting Overwatch, a lot of people saying that they're going to be quitting the game, a lot of content creators that are switching game, and just a lot of stuff happening. And I'd like to kind of keep in mind that I made a video like this about 4 months ago, and in between there's been really not way too many complaints, but the problem has just kind of shown up again and reared its face right now. And I guess that's kind of where I want to start right here. I think a lot of people are always kind of blowing out of the water the amount of people quitting the game. And yes, there will always be people moving on to next games. There will always be content creators getting bored that have played the game for thousands of hours. But there's also going to always be a decent amount of people holding on to Overwatch, and a decent amount of people that are going, that are coming. And I think you really want to keep that in perspective when you're talking about quitting Overwatch, because there is always going to be a consistent stream of people coming in and out. It just is right now that a few more people are leaving than are coming. With that in mind, though, I do believe that there are some big things that are kind of holding the game back right now, and that are honestly making even me sometimes feel like I just don't want to play the game. And today I want to talk about those and some main big reasons why people might actually be quitting the game, other than it just getting a little bit old. With all that said, though, guys, let's get started. Now, the first thing I want to talk about right here is going to be the events in Overwatch. And I know not everybody cares about the events. For a lot of people, the events are just kind of a thing that has existed, that you maybe will play the mini games sometimes. And I think for a lot of competitive players, that's kind of how you think about it, because that's kind of how I think about it. I mean, I look at the events and I'm like, there's some skins, some game modes, maybe I'll play for like an hour and I'll move on. But a thing you have to kind of keep in mind is that for a lot of more casual players, the events are a big reason to come back to the game. There's new skins, new maps, well, I guess new versions of maps, and new minigames, and that all sounds really enticing to bring people back and to buff up the numbers. But a thing I think is kind of problematic about Overwatch, and has been for a while, is that the events are the same. They're just a upgraded version of last year's events, and I think for players, that's just not very exciting. And I know that it's kind of hard to like think of new events because, there's not random different real life events, but I think that is a big problem, that Overwatch really hasn't evolved in that state. And that in a lot of cases, the events are literally the exact same as last year, but with slightly different game change rules, slightly different maps, and like a few extra skins. There's really just no huge grabber back into the game like there was in the first year, where the events were really a cool thing that everyone wanted to try out. Ever since the Summer Games this year, it's been kind of boring as far as that goes. And as well, a thing I want to mention here is that there really is no prestige in playing in the events. In the first year, again, if you played in that event, you were one of the cool people that had Nihon Genji. No one else would ever have that, at least that's what you thought. So you'd want to come in, get that skin, and maybe you quit for a few months until the next event. Well, now there's really no reason to play. Ever since the events have been repeating and you can get the same skins again and again, if you're a person that just came to get skins and came to look cool, there's no reason to really come during that event, because you can just wait till the next time. And I think for some players, just the lack of events and the lack of the reason to even play the events has been kind of killing the game. Not the only reason, but I think it is a good reason, especially for a lot of the casual players that just want some new stuff. Now, going to the competitive players, though, they do have a lot of things about the game that also I think there's a good reason to quit there. First off, there have been just like no changes in competitive in so long. The competitive scene has been pretty much the same ever since like season 3. They keep making, not even promises, they keep making allusions to changes that might be coming in the future, but nothing has happened for so many seasons, and a lot of players are just kind of done with the way competitive's been working. There's been the same really crappy team comps going on for season after season. There's been the same not that great reporting feature. It's just been the same for too long, and I think a lot of people are just kind of done with the problems and have just kind of thought if these problems should be done by now and these problems should be fixed, and since they aren't, I'll just move on to something else. I'll just move on to something more competitive that I can actually maybe climb and maybe win with. And there hasn't been really anything to grab people back. I think if there was a new guild system, as a lot of people have been asking for, more people would come back to the game because, hey, it's an awesome guild system, you can make teams, that's awesome, come back, and a lot of people would. Or if there was a role queue that you could decide to play in, better team comps, more people would come back to competitive as well. There's a lot of different ideas, not sure which one would work the best, but there's just been nothing, and that's the reason why people don't want to play. It's just been the same for a lot of people. And Well, personally, I just enjoy the general way competitive works, and I know that there's a lot of players that just will keep playing competitive even if it's the same thing again and again and again. You have to realize there's a lot of players that won't deal with that, and no matter how much you just call them a crybaby or however much you just call them dumb for not wanting to play for these small nitpicks or for these big reasons, I mean, that is a proportion of the community that's going away, and I mean, that might be why it feels like Overwatch in some cases is dying, especially in competitive. I think quick play, the numbers are staying pretty similar, but competitive, I think, really has been hit as time goes on. Now, switching it up again, I want to talk about the updates in Overwatch, and I guess this is kind of connecting a bit to the events, but really not way too much. I think that the updates in this game just take forever to come out. Even the new hero finally added after like 3 months or 4 months, you gotta wait a month to play her. There's just oftentimes not way too much hype in this game, and especially when you compare the updates to games like League of Legends, which is like every 2 weeks there's something new to try out to bring you back into the game, or Fortnite, where I mean there's just new guns, new abilities, new things to put down, new everything like every single week or every other week as well. I mean, when you compare that to Overwatch, which is an old game, so it makes sense why it's not giving away too much updates, but when you compare them side by side, you can see which one is more grasping and which one could bring people back to the game faster, or just more often. It's the one with more updates, and it's the one with the updates that change the game more and change the game faster. And I know Overwatch is a very polished game. It's a game where it's hard to update quickly, but I think if they really wanted to get more players back, they could by adding more updates. It just would take away resources that really don't get the money, so why would they do that? I guess that could kind of be a problem. I mean, I guess they could add some DLC in the future, and maybe that could be a way to get players back. I think that might even be a good idea with an expansion or something like StarCraft does. But I guess we're going to have to wait to see. Maybe we'll see something, but honestly, I think the updates are just going to continue coming very slowly, and I think that's going to continue having people not want to play the game way too much. For a lot of people that just enjoy the general gameplay, though, they will keep playing. Like me, I just like how the game works. I like how it plays. I'll keep playing. It could be the same game for like a year. I wouldn't really care. I play Melee, Super Smash Bros. That hasn't been changed ever. I play Smash 4, which hasn't changed way too much either. And once you enjoy a game, you'll keep playing. But I know for a lot of people, when there's so many games on the market with so little updates on this one, yeah, that might be why they stop playing quite as much. And speaking of so many games on the market, I think games like Fortnite really are just grabbing a ton of attention, and Overwatch really was the game that was huge in 2016. It will, as any game, slowly go down a little bit. And I think I should mention right here that, yeah, the Overwatch League is bringing the game back up a bit in esports, and I think they should focus on competitive because competitive games last a lot longer than casual games, so just wanted to insert that. But back to my previous point, I think games like Fortnite are going to just inherently grab attention. There's something new, there's something interesting, everybody's playing it, everyone's trying it. But I think you should keep in mind is that people will come back to Overwatch, and maybe it won't be huge droves like it was in the first place. I mean, there was millions and millions of players playing Overwatch, but I think at least, at very minimum, there's going to be like 1 million players always playing the game. And for most people, I think that's good enough, and I think that'll always get you in your games. You can play, you can enjoy it. Maybe there'll be less updates because it's less players playing, but yeah, there are always going to be people coming back, and there are, I guess, always going to be other games grabbing attention from Overwatch. People are always going to be changing games. It's just a thing that happens over time, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. And I think, I guess you guys should remember as well, and my final point here is that, yeah, the game is old. There are new things coming out, but so is TF2, and there are a ton of players on TF2, even after years and years and years. So I think my point here is that there will always be players in Overwatch. There will always be people playing the game, enjoying the game, no matter what happens, no matter what changes go on, what changes don't. Just maybe not as many. And I think the only person that really should care too much about so many players quitting is Blizzard, because it's the thing hurting them. Less people buying loot boxes, less people playing their game, worse numbers. But for us, I mean, it's a thing that's happening, but if you're still enjoying the game, just keep playing it, and don't go on the hype train to quit the game just because other people are. I think that's kind of a stupid thing to do. You know, just enjoy playing what you're playing. And there you go with that. I think that's why a lot of people are quitting Overwatch. Nathan did a good video about why a lot of Overwatch creators are quitting, so I think you should check that out if you want to see that. I could mention some of those facts here, but I think that is a good video, so maybe I'll try to link that down in the description below as well. And there you go. That's really all I have to say about Overwatch. And I'm betting a video like this will probably have to come out in another 4 months or 5 months. So I'll see you guys there. Trying to calm the storm a little bit, but I did as well want to talk about some big reasons why people are quitting, because there are some good, credible reasons. But there also are, just some hype factors about quitting the game, I guess, that will always kind of show up every few months. With all that said, though, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like or press the subscribe button to see more videos like this in the future. I will be talking about Overwatch for the foreseeable future. I still really enjoy the game. I'll probably be switching even more to just talking about competitive, though. Hopefully to doing some more gameplays about competitive, because, there's not as much to talk about anymore, but there still is a lot to show in the game. So, hope you guys are ready for that, and press subscribe if you want to see that in the future. Anyways, as always, guys, though, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a wonderful day.